Hey, good evening, everybody, and thank you for once again joining us here on NBC News Channel 13's 13 Now, your own personalized YouTube newscast for the capital region. With you, I am Steve Coos, your friendly neighborhood anchor. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. We're going to break down some of the top stories we're tracking and let you know what is coming up later at 11 o'clock in about an hour for you over on News Channel 13. The top story we're tracking today, this one was wild. You guys remember that plane crash that happened in Vermont yesterday? Well, today we were talking with one of the pilots. Well, not one of the pilot who narrowly avoided death with two of his passengers, his own kids, in the cockpit with him when they went down over in Manchester, Vermont. Very terrifying situation. This is what at the time they had very snowy conditions in the mountains, and he started noticing some ice building up on the wings of his plane, and that could have contributed to what led him to go down. Amazingly, he said they got lucky, put it in the right place, and didn't hit any of those giant trees head on when he came down in the mountains. We're going to have more on that story coming up at 11 o'clock. You're not going to want to miss it because it is pretty amazing. All right, now to another story that a lot of us are following each and every day, whether we realize it or not, and that is the price of eggs. Eggs, I mean, you bake cookies with them, you got banana bread, you've got, I mean, everything breakfast related, of course, but eggs are in so much more, and the prices have skyrocketed. They're at an all time high right now here in the United States. They've never been this high in our country. A lot of that obviously due to the bird flu pandemic that has caused hundreds of millions of chickens to have to be killed off for it. Well, now a few people are finding some unique ways to get their eggs for cheaper than most other people. A local farm here in upstate New York is quickly becoming a popular go to spot for fairly priced eggs. This is the Thomas Poultry Farm we're talking about. They're located over in Schuylerville. So they're not just producing and packaging farm fresh eggs, they're also providing egg lovers a chance to save money now. So obviously, eggs are extremely expensive. I mean, not extremely expensive. They basically doubled in cost, if not tripled in cost, from what we were paying the same time maybe a year or two ago. And that's just not even here in upstate New York, but across the country. A lot of places are averaging about $8 per dozen eggs. Some places you can get them cheaper than that, around $5. But at the Thomas Poultry Farm, families are doing their part of the weekly shopping over there because the restaurants owners, lots of people are going to the Thomas Poultry Farm. The Thomas Poultry Farm tells us they have 220,000 egg-laying hens. Those hens, 220,000 of them, allow Thomas Poultry Farm to produce 15,000 cartons of eggs a day. So 15,000 dozen egg cartons a day. But they too have to live with the threat of avian bird flu that could kill off their entire stock, entire livelihood of the chickens they got over there. We do have some good news, however, potentially regarding the soaring egg prices. A last report came out yesterday, and for the first time, the daily egg price did not go up for the first week since December. That possibly indicates that egg prices could be leveling off just a little bit, and hopefully that could eventually be followed by a decline in egg prices. Hopefully. Anyway, hopefully. Again, my kids love scrambled eggs in the morning. It is getting downright expensive with their demand for eggs. Dad, why don't we have eggs? Why don't we have eggs? Because they're expensive, and I won't want to keep paying, $8 for a carton of, 12 eggs when you guys eat like half a dozen of them at a time. It's too much. Yeah. Oh, so with 13 now, I always like to end on a more positive, happy note. And we got a good positive story to talk about. You like wrestling? You like some wrestling? More than 200 high school girls made history today here in New York. Let's take a look at them. Why did they make history? Well, over to MVP Arena, these girls took part in the first ever state wrestling championship for girls, and it was held right here locally. These are some of the highlights. 26 wrestlers out of those 200 ended up making it to the finals after today. Athletes from several local schools competed, including Averill Park, Bethlehem, Shenandoah, Shaker High, just to name a few. Shaker's head varsity girls wrestling coach tells us she trains her students not only to be physically ready, but also to be mentally prepared and confident on the mat. One of the wrestlers told us, quote, "It's just amazing, awesome to see. I grew up wrestling and I always had to wrestle the boys. To see this at this level is just a game changer. And it's really great for the girls and for them to go to college and get noticed in this sport." End quote. That's one of the girl wrestlers today who was out competing in the state championship. This historic championship comes at a real perfect time because Women's History Month begins in just another 2 days. So that is March, Women's History Month, and we are making history here in the capital region with the first ever girls wrestling tournament. Congrats to all the nice ladies who took part in that tournament today. You're all winners in my book, honestly. That's going to do it for us here on NBC News Channel 13's 13. Now, we're going to be back in, what do we got here? About 52 minutes over on NBC for our 11 p.m. newscast. We have a standoff happening right now between police and some armed individual being held up in a house. We have a reporting team on the way to talk about this standoff situation. Hopefully it ends peacefully, but a lot of times it doesn't. We're going to be there. We'll let you know what happens. So tune in at 11 o'clock tonight, right in about 50 minutes, for the very latest on all these top stories, that standoff, and much more, including a little change in the weather that's coming your way. All right, that's just a taste of it. Thank you for joining, and hopefully we see you later. And if not, I get it. It's late. Get to bed. I won't blame you, not one bit. Have a great night, and thanks for watching.